Through 5 weeks, Jalen Hurts is performing like an MVP, and I think I speak for everybody other than the most diehard of Philly fans when I say nobody saw this coming. In years 1 and 2, Hurts showed flashes of brilliance, but there were always questions about his future as the Eagles franchise quarterback. Those days of uncertainty are over, and thanks to a fantastic start to what looks like Hurts' breakout season, the Eagles are a legitimate threat to come out of the NFC in January. Hurts has repaired what many called irreparable habits, and unlocked a level of quarterback play high enough to take the Eagles to heights many thought they would never reach with him under center. A year 3 breakout obviously doesn't happen overnight, and Hurts' first 2.25 seasons of film tell an inspiring story of how hard work and perpetual trust in the development process can lead to success on the football field. But before I get into all that, I'd like to share a word from the sponsor of today's video, Established Titles. Established Titles is a really unique project that allows anyone to purchase 1 to 10 square feet of land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, which, according to Scottish tradition, allows you to declare yourself a landowner and be known as a laird, which is Scottish for lord or lady. And you can even officially add the prefix to your name on a credit card or plane ticket. Upon your purchase, Established Titles will send you a certificate, which features a unique plot number that will tell you the exact location of your plot of land. In addition to the fun that comes along with being able to label yourself as a lord or lady, you'll be helping in the fight against deforestation, because for every plot of land sold, Established Titles plants a tree. They've partnered with global charities such as One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, so you're not only helping to preserve the beautiful landscapes of Scotland, but also making a contribution to the global fight against deforestation. I personally come from a long line of Scottish heritage, so for me it's a cool way to get in touch with my roots, while at the same time keeping our planet healthy. Established Titles offers lordship, ladyship, and couples packs of 1, 5, or 10 square foot plots of land, and they make a great last minute gift. They're also running an early Black Friday sale, plus you can use the promo code BILLY at checkout to get an additional 10% off your purchase. So go to establishedtitles.com/Billy or click the link in the description to get your plot of land today. And the first 200 people who purchase a plot using my link will be within a few minutes of walking distance from my plot. So depending on how many of you want to become a lord or lady, we can build our little football nerd kingdom. A huge thank you to Established Titles for making today's video possible, but now, back to Jalen Hurts. Numbers-wise, 2021 was far from a terrible year for Jalen Hurts. He finished with a respectable average yards per attempt of 7.3, he ranked first among all quarterbacks in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, but also ranked in the bottom half of the league in just about every other meaningful passing stat category. All things considered, Hurts was pretty efficient for a young quarterback, and his athleticism made him dangerous on the ground prior to 2022. But the screen pass and RPO-heavy foundation of this offense was instrumental in hiding what Hurts was struggling with as a passer. Hurts' ability to make plays outside of offensive structure was his biggest asset, but at the same time, it was holding him back. Plays like this 3rd and medium from back in Week 9, where LA's cover 3 call prevents Philadelphia's mesh concept from getting open, but Hurts still gets a first down with a wild flip over a defender at the line to gain, were routine in 2021. Hurts was far more comfortable improvising on broken plays than staying within the structure of the offense, so while his best plays occurred while he was extending, his worst did as well. On this play from Philadelphia's wildcard game against Tampa Bay, the Bucs showed a single high safety shell pre-snap with a crowded line of scrimmage. And because he knew that the outside corners would be on islands without safety help over the top, Hurts wanted to target Devontae Smith on a deep double move. But to target that route, Hurts needed to give himself time, which wasn't going to be easy against the Bucs' 6-man blitz. So post-snap, Hurts took a super deep 7-step drop. Now, the problem with taking such a deep drop to buy time is it gives the outside rushers a much easier angle to the quarterback. Look at Levante David and Devin White when Hurts reaches what should have been the back of his drop. They're both condensing the pocket, but there's more than enough room for Hurts to step up here, and Smith torched his man on this double move, so if he had stepped up, this was a touchdown. Hurts wasn't necessarily bad under pressure, but he also wasn't comfortable climbing the pocket to give himself time. He often instead chose to bail out of the back of the pocket, which made it easier for pass rushers to get to him and made for throws with a higher degree of difficulty. Fast forward to year 3, and Hurts is displaying a level of discipline in terms of when to leave the pocket that was totally absent prior to 2022. He's never looked more comfortable stepping up and delivering an accurate ball downfield on longer developing route concepts. but at the same time, he still makes some of his best plays extending outside of structure. Early in Philadelphia's Week 2 game against Minnesota, the Eagles were faced with a 3rd and 14 at midfield and called a sticks concept, which tells each receiver to break back to the ball at the line to gain. Despite the long developing nature of the concept, Hurts sat in the pocket, waited for the window to open up, and hit A.J. Brown right in the numbers to keep the drive alive. On the following series, the Eagles called their favorite concept, known as Sail X Dig. On the top of your screen, Hurts has a 3-level sail concept, and on the backside, he has a 15-yard dig from Quez Watkins. The Vikings split field match coverage took away the sail concept to Hurts' left, but he stepped up to keep the play alive and hit Watkins on the backside dig for a gain of 16 on the move. Hurts has finally found the right balance between staying within and operating outside of structure. Last year, and even more so as a rookie, Hurts unnecessarily drifted outside of the pocket to create pressure on himself way too often. But as of Week 5, I can count on one hand how many times I saw him prematurely abandon structure. The glaring bad habit that was obviously holding this Eagles offense back last year is all but gone, and while Hurts still isn't perfect, this isn't the only area in which he has shown vast improvement in year 3. I want to take you back to that interception Hurts threw in Philadelphia's wildcard game against Tampa, because that play also illustrates the other issue that Hurts really struggled with prior to 2022. On the tight angle, you can see that Hurts was staring Devontae Smith down for the entire play, and because he didn't get the ball out on time, the post safety was able to get to the sideline and make this interception. Staring down a predetermined receiver was a huge issue for Hurts in his first 2 years in the league. But now, he's using his eyes to manipulate defenders, and that has unlocked an entire new element of the Eagles' passing offense. In Philly's Week 3 game against Washington, Hurts made a couple of throws that really illustrate how his ability to hold defenders with his eyes has opened up the Eagles' deep passing game, one of which came on this play from the second quarter. Washington is in cover 1, which calls for man coverage across the board with a single post safety, and I want you to look closely at Hurts' eyes. When he takes the snap, he glances to his right, then keys that post safety. The safety's job is to watch Hurts' eyes, so by looking at the deep middle of the field, Hurts keeps the safety in no man's land. That prevents him from having even the slightest chance at making a play on this 38-yard go ball to A.J. Brown. Hurts' deep throw attempt rate is way down from 2021, but his average depth of target is up. The deep balls that Hurts is throwing are longer, more damaging shots, but they're also more calculated, which has produced a huge uptick in the efficiency of the Eagles' deep passing attack. His completion percentage on throws of 20 or more air yards is up by over 8%, his average yards per attempt has risen by a whopping 7.5 yards, and in passer rating, Hurts has made a jump from 26th up to 4th. Like I said, Hurts is still taking risks, he's just more careful about when to take them. Prior to 2022, Hurts often got tunnel vision on the deep shot, meaning no matter what the defense did post-snap, he was taking it. This was reflected in his deep throw attempt rate of nearly 15%, which ranked 4th highest among starting quarterbacks in the league. Now he's taking what the defense gives him. And in Week 2 against Minnesota, this newfound discipline in when to take the shot resulted in the Eagles getting points on a quick drive before half. The play you're seeing now took place with 22 seconds left in the first half, and Philadelphia ran a 989 concept against Minnesota's soft cover 3 cloud, which tells the cornerback to the passing strength of the formation to sit in the flat, while the corner to the other side drops into a deep third along with the 2 deep safeties. Hurts was quick to identify the soft zone coverage, which told him that it wasn't the time to take the shot downfield, so he checked down to Dallas Goedert in the flat and picked up 19 yards. That left 15 seconds on the clock, but the Eagles were still a solid 10 yards away from field goal range. This time, Minnesota called soft quarters coverage, and the Eagles ran a Hoss concept, which calls for 15-yard stop routes from the number 1 receivers and divide routes from the number 2 receivers with the option to bend inside if the middle of the field is open. Post-snap, Vikings Mike linebacker Eric Kendricks made sure Hurts couldn't check down for another explosive play by taking away the running back out of the backfield. But that left the middle of the field open, and Hurts took advantage by hitting Goedert on a perfectly placed ball under heavy pressure in his face to put the Eagles into field goal range and add 3 points to the board. Hurts' willingness to take what the defense gives him, along with his willingness to sit in the pocket and deliver a strike with pressure in his face, made this play possible. And these are things we simply didn't see from Hurts on a consistent basis prior to year 3. He was a project up until very recently, but he's shown up. and the Eagles have done a great job to make this development possible. Philadelphia's offensive line was already very good going into 2022, but the same can't be said for their receiving corps. In their 2021 Week 6 game against Tampa, Todd Bowles called man coverage over and over again with very little disguise because the Eagles receivers just couldn't separate consistently. Enter former Titans stud receiver A.J. Brown, and 2022 is a completely different story. In Week 1, Detroit called a lot of man coverage early in the game, and they paid for it. Hurts hit Brown on inside breaking routes against man coverage a lot in that game, plus a perfectly placed 54-yard bomb on a fade route. And that film will cause other teams around the league to use considerable discretion when calling man against this Eagles offense. Long story short, Jalen Hurts has beaten the odds. He clearly put a ton of work in over the offseason, and we're already seeing it pay off in a big way. Sitting comfortable atop the NFC at 5-0, the Eagles haven't soared this high since 2017, and Jalen Hurts is leading the flock. That's going to do it for today's video. If you'd like to support the channel, links to my Patreon and Twitter will be down in the description. As always, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.